Adeline Ruggles, and I did my capstone project on the difference between gender in ancient Greece. So, let's dive right in. Here, I have a brief introduction of ancient Greece and its influence. The Greeks are arguably one of the most influential societies of the Western civilizations. They made rapid advancements in many modern-day ideas such as democracy, the arts, science, and even theatrics. Although the ancient Greeks were well known for their rich culture and influences, there was still a big difference between men and women. It could be argued that this difference was necessary for the growth and development of their culture. Okay, to begin, I'd like to talk about the men of ancient Greece. Men were held to a high expectations and had a facade that they needed to portray. They were seen as rational, logical, and self-controlled. They also held high values of reason and intellect. This can be seen through many famous Greeks such as Aristotle and Plato. The men of this time period had many expectations, for they ran the civilizations. They were expected to be physically fit, mentally sharp, and well-educated. On top of that, they needed to have courage, justice, and wisdom. This allowed for them to be active participants in public life, as well as politics, warfare, and athletics. Women, on the other hand, had different expectations. They were seen as obedient, subservient, and focused more so on domestic duties. Women were closely tied to their social status, which came from their family backgrounds and regional ceremonies. Men during this time were given most of the opportunities, but few lucky women were able to be involved in religious ceremonies and celebrations. All women were, however, excluded from politics, athletics, and intellectual ideologies. These expectations then lead into the societal roles that both men and women had in ancient Greece. The more well-known or wealthier men were typically politicians, soldiers, generals, athletes, and so on. The poorer group were servants or farmers. Women during this time did not have many roles except for caring for their families. Since they were unable to provide like the men did, they kept to being mothers, housekeepers, and maids. Sometimes, women of higher statuses had more responsibilities and access to education, cultural expression, and so on. So they shared some of the same power that men had, but not much. The relationship between men and women was shaped mostly by gift giving. Well, mostly women receiving gifts from men. But sometimes women got a hold of pretty valuable gifts, which led men to believe that they were from the gods. There are many powerful gods and goddesses that ancient Greeks believed in. Goddesses, such as Athena and Aphrodite, were associated with different aspects of life. This included wisdom, marriage, and beauty. Gods, such as Achilles and Hercules, were powerful figures with strength and courage. These gods are celebrated for their skill and bravery during battle. Aside from gods and goddesses, average men and women citizens were also portrayed in Greek mythology. While women were not seen as often as men frequently fell subject to the whims and desires of the gods. I decided to relate my capstone to the big idea number 3, beliefs and cultures, because it has to do with how the Greeks' culture was influenced by the societal roles of men and women. I have listed a couple ways that this pertains to both cultures and beliefs on this slide. For example, Greek mythology is related to beliefs because it was the Greeks' religion. This topic is so important to others because it can help to show the growth of societal roles. For example, women were seen mainly as caregivers, which was a common trend in other cultures throughout history. But now, American women have just as many rights as men, so it's interesting to see how things were different. Also, this represents the inner workings of the Greek society, which would then relate to showing the growth since this time period. Overall, this project has helped me learn more about different cultures, specifically Greece. Moving forward, I now have a better understanding of past cultures and influences, so I can use the information to recognize how some modern-day ideologies came to be. I had a lot of fun doing this project, but my favorite part would have to be learning about Greek mythology. I find it fascinating to see how other cultures worship their gods, and some of them have some pretty cool stories. Although I'd have to say my least favorite part of this project was the extensive research. But once I got through that, it was smooth sailing. Here is my works cited. Thank you so much for listening.